Good morning, welcome to Tuesday, November 8, 2022 meeting of the Municipal Airport Authority. First of all, can everybody out there hear us? We'll try that again. If you can, thumbs up, let us know by saying yes.
Brandon, Terry, Brandon, can you hear us? Brandon, Terry Stroll, Jonah.
There we go. All right.
You did?
All right, good.
Chief Bush.
Important that everybody can hear us out there.
Audio, it still says it's connected.
They're connected.
All right. All right, good. All right, move on to number 1, approve minutes of the regular meeting, October 25. Questions, concerns?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as published.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any discussion? None? Roll call.
Lynn.
Aye.
Cosgrove.
Aye.
Capitan.
Aye.
Heckman.
Aye.
Aye. Number 2, approve airport vouchers totaling $192,364.82. Motion?
I have a motion to approve.
You have a motion and a second, please?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
The
None?
audio's off, guys.
What was that?
The audio's off.
Okay, 1 second here.
So you can hear
I did not.
the meeting is being recorded?
Well, I recorded from the screen.
All right, sorry for the delay.
It's on now.
Microphone on.
Doesn't know what it's on.
Well, we're recording it here, which in worst case scenario. All right. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? None? Roll call.
Lynn.
Aye.
Cosgrove.
Aye.
Capitan.
Aye.
Heckman.
Aye.
Aye.
Just so nobody can hear us. Or Chief Bush, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right.
Oh, good.
All right, moving on to number 3, approve individual vouchers A through J. Motion, please.
So moved.
Do you have a motion? Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any discussion? None? Roll call.
Lynn.
Aye.
Cosgrove.
Aye.
Capitan.
Aye.
Heckman.
Aye.
Aye. Move on to number 4, receive September 22 financials. You've all received those. Any questions, concerns, comments? None?
No comments.
Can I get a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to accept the financials as published.
Motion and a second, please.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any discussion? None? Roll call.
Lynn.
Aye.
Cosgrove.
Aye.
Capitan.
Aye.
Heckman.
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to number 5, receive final terminal area study document from Mead and Hunt.
Okay, Brandon Holgerson from Mead Hunt is on board and he received the bound copy of this 10-11 month process. So Brandon, go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. Good to see you. I think you have all seen bits and pieces of this throughout the year, so I'm going to just go through just the overall structure of it and just kind of point out the milestones and when we went through it, and then at the end, if there's anything in particular that you want to take a look at or talk through, we can certainly do that. So the report is structured, if you have the table of contents in front of you. Here, maybe I can share my screen too.
One second, we're given permission.
Yeah.
Try that.
There we go. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so the report is structured into 6 sections.
Could you move that to presentation mode instead of, there we go. All right.
Is that better?
Yep.
I'll zoom in here. So section 1 is the project overview. It's kind of like the executive summary. And section 2 is the terminal facility inventory. So 1 and 2, these sections were reviewed back in April of 2022. This was what we collected from our walkthroughs and gathering the plans, and then taking the Matterport scans. And this we sent to the FAA, just kind of laying out the groundwork for the study, and that was back in April. Then section, and I'm going through the table of contents right now. Then section 3, this is the demand forecast data, and we submitted this back in February of 2022. We did a little back and forth to make sure and had a couple renditions of it, but essentially got to an agreed forecast that also was communicated and sent to the FAA back at that time. Section 4 is the terminal programming section. This is the information. This was reviewed along with the demand forecast, but this was a lot of the information that a lot of the tables. So we took the demand forecast, since they go hand in hand, and that information kind of calculated the space needs based on FAA standards. The space needed based on the number forecast. This also included some of the user input sessions. So we had individual stakeholder input sessions at that time with the various groups, user groups in the airports, the airlines, the rental cars, the gift shops, the local artists, the communications and advertising. We met with all those folks just to get an initial input on what they would like to see before we started laying out some of the alternatives. So that's in section 4. And then section 5, that was July, August, that is maybe a little more fresh in your memory. That's where we had 3 concepts that we had went through some renditions, kind of picked the best of them all and put them into a preferred concept and presented that preferred concept at the August 9th board meeting. So this section 5 just kind of walks through that whole process, how we had the 3 alternatives, and then our kind of the logistics of kind of dialing into one preferred concept that seemed to have all the solutions for the airport. We talked in particular about the ticketing area alternatives, broke that out separately, and then the concept for the building systems themselves. So all the structural, mechanical, fire protection, plumbing, and electrical, and technology systems. After talking with the maintenance group, Dan Bullis there, kind of collecting what they'd like to see and incorporating that into the preferred concept and recommendation moving forward. Then section 6 is the implementation and feasibility, financial feasibility. So that was kind of the last step. After we locked this in, the preferred concept, and got the kind of the budget number nailed down, we worked with Leibowitz and Horton to come up with a financial implementation plan. And that, I think we wound up going through about 6 versions to make sure that we got it dialed into a financial plan that that the airport was comfortable with. And Leibowitz Horton had shared that with you, walked through that with you at this more recent September 27th board meeting. So that's what section 6 includes. And then we broke down a list in the table of contents of all the figures and tables. There's a lot of them. I know we went through a lot of them through our various presentations, so we're hoping that this you'll find helpful. If there was anything in particular that stuck out, or if you wanted to look at a figure or table in particular, you can peruse this piece of the table of contents, and we have the title of those figures and tables, and that'll take you right to it. And then finally, the appendices, and this is all the supporting documentation, which will provide further details and the supporting data of all the documentation within the study. That's pretty much it. There's a lot to it. Is there anything in particular that you wanted to take a look at? Otherwise, we're not going anywhere. So if you want, take a look at it as you have time, and as questions arise, don't hesitate to either if Sean wants you to reach out through him to me or to me directly. I'm fine with either way.
This is Rick. Say on page 82, it's 6.6. It calls out the cost breakdown and what may be eligible and what will not be. I think we're all aware that just because it's eligible doesn't mean it'll get funded. I think we should all agree and understand that their expectation is that it will not all get funded, but it may be eligible. If you have questions to that, Sean?
No, and yesterday we got an update from EEE on the second round of bill funding that's out there, the competitive grant process. First billing went out and only one airport in North Dakota received funding. Now the second process is out, and we put in 3 different applications for the boarding bridge, the terminal study, and what else was there? The expansion. So they had 680 applications and over $9.8 billion in requests for $1 billion. So it's a very competitive process. You saw the letter from the congressional delegation, same that we had before. Whether or not that carries any weight to get us some of that money, I'm not sure. So, but this is just the best guess scenario right now on page 82 that Mr. Engen mentioned. And we'll see what it flushes out to once the FAA gets to review.
And I think Leibowitz Horton had said that they're overall, they try to be conservative and practical in their calculations as well. So that is reflecting in their opinion. Steve Horton had said that this is conservative.
All right. Any other questions?
I have one question. If at any time in the future we were to revisit the bridge across the walkway, are there accommodations made in this plan that we wouldn't have to do major structural changes to the existing airport? Like, is there something in place so that if that would ever come to fruition?
Yeah, the bridge will connect right in the center part. So if you come down the grand staircase in the middle, it's there, so there won't be any impact.
Okay.
This project won't have any impact on the future of a bridge that goes out to a parking garage or what have you.
Except we'll have to take Charlie Classic's airplane, move it someplace.
The airplane, that'll be the
Okay.
biggest impact of moving the airplane. So,
Just so we wouldn't have to,
And,
you know, reinvent the
Paula,
wheel again.
Design team, Paula, I just wanted to mention the design team is aware and did look at some of the preliminary walkway drawings it's going to be acknowledged in our in the plans going forward to make sure that it's conducive to allowing that walkway to take place with minimal modifications.
we've got a pretty extensive design file on that, and Terry is online, but Terry is having audio issues. He can't hear us, or his mic's not working. There's something wrong there, so I've got some information from him, but Terry can maybe give us an update on that at the next meeting. Unless you join Terry. Okay, he's still got audio issues.
thanks.
So this is a lot of paper. I chose to have them do a hard copy. It's easier for me to get around than to try and maneuver online, but we can get more copies made if need be, if we want to give copies to the commission or others. I think we had 10 initially made, we can have more made if we do.
I think we should, there should be some
Absolutely.
city commission. And then, take questions from them, separate of the direct meeting.
Commissioner Strand, are you on? Commissioner Strand's on, but we'll get some copies sent down to City Hall.
Anything else?
I was going to mention if people are having audio issues, I had audio issues as well. I had to call in; it didn't recognize my computer audio, so I don't know. Terry may be having the same challenge.
Okay.
Maybe just text them, tell them to call and stand by. If that helps. All right, nothing else?
So we can officially receive this.
All right, do we need to take a motion? Yeah. So we do need a motion to receive the study. Can I get a motion to receive, please?
So move.
In a second?
Second.
With a motion and a second to receive the study. Any discussion? Any discussion? No, roll call.
Lynn?
I just have a question for Sean. And in the event that you said there's, how many millions or billions of dollars are appropriated?
So there was $5 billion that was put out over a 5-year period. The first billion is done. The second billion is now being allocated based on the applications received, and then each year, so there will be 3 more.
And how many have applied?
There were 680 applications for a total of $9.8 billion for
Okay.
$1 billion.
For $1 billion.
So
Would it be beneficial if we had one of these and maybe sometime you go talk to Big John?
They have it in electronic format. That was part of their review, the chief of staff for them and their FA contacts have it in an electronic format. They didn't want a paper copy. So they do have it.
Okay,
And we will be in DC next week with a group from the chamber attending some air guard meetings. And
He was
we'll chat
it is
with
very
them.
beneficial for flood diversion. He could probably do some groundwork for us on this too.
He's well aware of the need for the terminal, so I've had a number of conversations with him and staff about the terminal assistance that we're gonna need,
Okay,
and he's ready to do that.
And the delegation did submit a letter supporting the project.
So, it's good. Congressman Armstrong, his staff contact from DC was in here last week, and we met for about an hour going through this process as well, so. yeah.
good.
Roll call.
Lind?
Aye.
Osgood?
Aye.
Captain?
Aye.
Heckman?
Aye.
Aye.
So are we gonna buy some Powerball tickets to try and pay for this?
Petty cash.
I gotta go get a bunch.
I'm gonna win, I'll give you all alone.
That's what you direct.
Moving on to number 6, received proposed contract for maintenance, design and build services.
All right, and I think Brandon, are you still on? Okay, so we
Yeah.
received, Stacy had reviewed the initial draft that was sent out. This contract was sent back, reviewed it, and the changes that she had suggested that are in terms of liability and hold harmless were changed, so.
So basically, Schedule B relates to the relationship between the parties, and 13 and 14, under the current Schedule B, it talks about if Mead and Hunt is negligent, there still is no cause of action by the airport against them. Number 14 is a little less spurious, but I had suggested that that language be removed, and as I understood it, it would be, but then in reviewing the final draft, it's still here. So,
yeah, Stacy, I think our contracts officer interpreted it as removing any and all, and so that's what they did, and they didn't take out the full statement that you. So I looked at that. So I am I'm gonna get us in direct contact right away to get this resolved and make sure that we get on agreeable terms. I didn't want to just gloss over this. I want to make sure that everybody's comfortable with the terms and conditions before we go any further on this.
So Stacy, is it your opinion that section 13 and 14 should be removed?
not necessarily removed, but they need to be modified, so that if we do have a negligent act by Mead and Hunt,
Okay,
we still have a cause of action.
all right.
To not contract that away. So what I had mentioned to Sean this morning was maybe vote to accept the agreement subject to modifications 13 and 14 of
Yes.
Schedule B.
Right.
Because everything else is in order.
And it's just subject to them retaining liability for negligence. Okay. Good.
Client agrees to indemnify and hold harmless Mead and Hunt Architecture Incorporated for claims arising out of or related in any way to acts done by architecture in the exercise of legislative or quasi-legislative functions. I know that as a political subdivision that you can really agree to that.
I don't think 14 can be agreed to, but certainly I would not recommend that 13 be agreed to with regard to Mead and Hunt's own negligence. Correct.
Our insurance company would work.
Okay, so you can approve it subject to all the changes in Tracy's review and approval.
Can I get a motion to approve that agreement subject to the liability restrictions included?
In numbers 13 and 14 of
13
Schedule
and
B.
14.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, discussion. So Stacy, oh, go ahead.
Chuck, I also, we're doing an independent fee estimate as well.
Oh, thank you for reminding me of that as well. So not only in addition to 13 and 14, it's also subject to the completion of an independent fee review, which Jeff Ubel from Bismarck is doing. He will need approximately 10 to 15 days to complete the independent fee review, which is required by the FAA. Basically, they say that Mead and Hunt says they're going to do it for $8,731,224. Jeff will go through and give his independent opinion of that cost. And there's a range, a percentage range that it can be within. And if it's outside of those parameters, then we go back and renegotiate the contract with them.
So can we go back and amend the motion?
Does it need amending, or can you just include that in the original motion?
He would have to amend it to include 13, 14 and a cost evaluation.
And then whoever seconded it. So,
Yeah.
so just if we can make an amendment to the motion. I apologize. Thanks for
So
reminding me.
what do you want the amendment to say?
So the contract would be approved subject to amendments to sections 13 and 14 of Schedule B as it pertains to liability and indemnification. And also the contract would be approved subject to the completion of an independent fee review as required by the FAA.
All right.
Yes, Eric?
Yes, I will,
All right, we have an amended motion. Can we
just
get
make it easy.
Second.
We have an amended motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Cosgrove, anything you're?
I'd just withdraw the motion and restart it, because otherwise you have to have two votes. You have to vote on the amendment. And then vote.
That's what I was thinking, but
Okay, I withdraw my initial motion.
And the amended motion becomes a motion.
And the amended motion becomes the motion.
And the withdrawal is a second, and the amended as a, or the unamended. Second is in place.
Yep.
Any other discussion?
I have one more question for Brandon on the plans,
We'll do that.
on a different thing,
separately.
yeah, okay.
Any other discussion on the contract with the caveats? No. Roll call.
Lynn.
Aye.
Cosner.
Aye.
Capitan.
Aye.
Beckman.
Aye.
Aye.
Jim Roman Shaker would be happy. Following that.
Paula, do you want to ask your question now before we?
Yeah, well, we were still, is Brandon still here?
Yes.
Okay.
I think
Yes.
Brandon, as I look at the plans, I'm just wondering if, it looks like there's doors going into the restrooms, and I'm wondering if there's a way that we can do contactless entry?
Yes, that was discussed. Our goal is to do barrier-free, but we wanted to make sure that we talked through that. That is definitely get into the details of the design process, but I appreciate you bringing that up because that is something that we're seeing more and more of, and we just want to make sure that everybody's on board before we go through that. But barrier-free restrooms would be ideal.
we've been that way here for years.
Good question.
Thanks for catching that.
All right, moving on to 7, construction management risk
Okay,
process.
so we signed an agreement with Cumming Group, and Brandon, do you want to give an update on the timing of the CMAR process? I've had at least 4 interested parties reach out to me, and I think we have a system in place now to inform them of the timing of when we will do an RFQ for CMAR.
Yes, so that is encouraging. We are already getting a lot of interest from construction managers, and so what we're looking at these next couple months, we're working with Cummings Group to put together the RFP that will go out in February. The reason that that's not going out until February is because we want to make sure that we have enough content for the construction manager, design content that they can put together a proposal that'll reflect and acknowledge the budget, the design, and schedule that they can in confidence say, yes, we can hit this budget, we can hit this schedule based on these documents. So we're going to get to the schematic design, which will be done in February, and we'll attach that schematic design to the RFP that will be sent out for reply from the construction managers.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions on
Does
that
that
process?
make sense?
So it's gonna be a little while. I had been led to believe it would be somewhat immediate. We'd have the RFQ out right now, but it's gonna be after the first of the year, so. That's being communicated to those construction managers that are inquiring and wanting to come out and meet and walk through what our idea is for the expansion, so.
As we move into 23, are we getting any indication of benefit from costs reducing at all, or is it stagnant?
I don't know, Brandon, I mean, are you seeing anything at other projects of some prices coming down or not?
Now, on a commercial level, that shifts slower to turn. I have seen and heard in the residential market, which is sometimes a good indicator that materials are starting to come down. So we're waiting to see that effect on the commercial market. Yeah.
Okay. All right, hopefully by February then we have a little more visibility and it's to our benefit.
Yeah.
Anything else for some? Moving on to number 8, airport construction security update.
Terry, were you able to get your audio? If not, he sent me.
I got,
There we
I'm
go.
on the phone.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
yes, we can.
Okay, good. I'm on the phone, so, I don't know what's going on. I can't get you. I don't have a mic. I don't have anything. So anyway, going through. I'm not sure if you guys have driven past the exit plaza, but it's going well. Gas lines installed, exterior framing complete. They're starting the inside framing. The sheeting will be completed tomorrow, so all the plywood on the outside will be done tomorrow. They've sandblasted and restriped the parking lot now to where Jeff had it redesigned. They're starting to put parking lot signage up. Having a little issue with a water line, wasn't in the place where it showed on the plan. And so they're sending an RFI out to Jeff, I would imagine, to figure out where that is. Roof is starting this week. What you see on that plywood now, we will be putting a trawled on weather barrier. So if you're familiar with housing and they'll put like a sheet Tyvek on, this is actually a much better system. And it's a trawled on water vapor system before those metal panels go on. So you'll see the whole plywood surface get trawled with a product. Metal panels are going to start the 14th. We are going to try to keep the picket booths as a priority. So Splash Parking can install their equipment as soon as they possibly can, and we can start getting things hooked up. But still looking into, first to the middle of January, I think. So the nice thing is we got all the work done, so we don't have to worry about the storm this week. So, any questions?
None, it looks good.
All right, on the economy lots, we're in the home stretch here. So remaining work is signage, just directional signs for people entering, exiting the lot. The light poles, those are supposed to be installed later this week, depending on the weather, obviously, that's coming, or early part of next week. And then there's all the bollards that are the barrier to hold the vehicles in. There's a steel cable that is connected to all of them. That still needs to be installed. And then the islands are ready for SP or Flash, I guess, to come anytime and do the kiosk installation. So,
Do you know when they're planning to do that?
I haven't heard a definitive schedule. I think they're supposed to actually schedule it right about now.
I
So
thought it was Monday, next week.
Monday next week. Okay.
They're gonna do both of them, east lot and the exit plaza as well, at the same time?
That I don't know, because they have to have they can do this everything over here, obviously, in the East Economy lot. It's just a matter of keeping, however they manage it, to keep the west exit open while they get the south exit activated.
I'm not sure how that transition's gonna work.
So,
Because the East Economy lot will have to be connected to the existing exit plaza, and then there's a
Correct.
switchover once the east exit plaza is completed, so
correct.
I'm not quite sure how that works.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So just a few other things. SP Plus was here last week with the team doing a passenger survey. So the second one of the year, so we'll hopefully have the results for that maybe by the next meeting. Jeff sent out the design services work scope for the terminal apron expansion to the FA to review the preliminary scope of work for that terminal expansion apron. PFM, I don't know, Mr. Engen and Mr. Cosgriff and I have been subject to some emails from Brian Johnson at PFM. All the money's at the Bank of North Dakota. The Bank of North Dakota's been ready for days. We're still waiting for PFM.
Yeah, no, I apologize for that. I did not realize Bank of North Dakota was not part of the SWIFT system, is it, Rick? There's a system that large banks use that allow that automatic transfer. And Bank of North Dakota is not a member of that. And so that's what, because I was trying to figure out why this was taking so long, is that if we were using one of the large national banks, the entry of the orders would automatically transfer then to the custodial bank. And so they had to set up something different here. If I would have realized that, I think we probably would have said, use one of the national banks, but we're now there with Bank of North Dakota, I think.
Yeah, we are. And they're charging us $1,000 a year to do it versus
15 to 20 at the beginning. So it may be a little bit of time delay, but ultimately treasuries and the instruments we'll be purchasing are yielding, it's a greater opportunity for yield, so all in all, not bad. And then the money market sweep at First International has increased in value as well, or the yield has, so.
Yeah, we'll actually be getting some higher yielding
Yeah.
instruments that we would have locked into earlier, so sometimes you're lucky with your mistakes.
the delays were to our benefit, no doubt. The other thing too, by establishing the accounts at the Bank of North Dakota, it helps us with our process when we go to apply for the loan with them. So we're significantly further advanced in the process, the application process with them for that loan, which legal is important, like us to apply for yet before the end of the year, but we'll have to hear more about that from them, just on the timing of how that all works, so.
And I do think all of these items help in the submission to the Bank of North Dakota for that operating line. And currently it's $40 million available to us as a subdivision. Depending on how the legislature goes, I think we're gonna go and ask for more, if possible.
Double. Yeah, I'd heard somewhere, I don't know if it was here or through the Airport Association, that there's 400 million designated by the Bank of North Dakota for this process. So there could be 10 airports in North Dakota to request $40 million. I guess I don't know what the appetite is for the legislature to increase that. I mean, if we could, we'd obviously borrow more at 2% interest. So we'll see where that goes. The only other thing I have is that, Jordan, I think Darren, but primarily Jordan's been working on a kind of a revised org chart for staff in terms of creating some lead opportunities, not only for band staff in the building and out on the airfield, and I don't know how far along we are with that, Jordan, but we have to look for some internal opportunities to, somebody gets hired as an equipment operator and that's where they sit for all the years that they're here. Maybe creating like a lead position where there's an opportunity for them maybe to move up or give them an opportunity to advance during their career while they're here. So it's a similar format to some other airports that have used that format as well, have an incentive for employees to always maybe shoot for something higher within their job classification. So hopefully we can unveil that here before the end of the year, if not right after the first of the year, training comes live. So.
Good. Jim, has the county, how are they with hiring?
Hiring?
Yeah, as far as slots, I know that
We've got,
the city and the county.
I think we're, on our sheriff's department, we're down like 23 in that area. We just hired a new HR director. She was with the state's attorney's office. So she is now our HR director, Tracy Peters. And she's our HR director and the assistant county administrator. So we gave her 2 hats to kind of split up Robert's stuff when he's gone or whatever, she can take over. And so that's a good fit. We're lucky to be able to get some people from within, but our biggest problem is with the sheriff's department. We've lost we're either 23 or 26 down. They seem to come in, and as soon as we get them trained up, they go to the City of Fargo Police Department or over to the Moorhead side.
The only other update is Otis has ordered the hydraulic cylinder that broke on the main elevator out here. I'm not quite sure, Dan, if you have any updates, but it's going to be some time yet before the manufacturer gets that provided to us for install. I would guess it's going to be the first of the year, maybe.
How old was that original equipment?
It would have been installed sometime in 1985.
Okay.
So that takes a massive cylinder to run.
Good use of it.
And then Friday, late afternoon, we started getting calls of a odd odor in the terminal building, down in the lower level, upper level, and we went down to the kitchen area and everybody could smell like something was plasticky or something on fire. And once we got down to the kitchen area in the far east end, in the kitchen, it was very strong there. So Joan called the fire department, they came out. And en route, the fire department en route, they opened up a door where there's 2 water heaters, 200-some gallon water heaters that service the kitchen, and one of them was smoldering. So I'm not sure what it is, the heat elements must have dropped on each other and it started the insulation kind of on fire. Fire department came, took it apart, and it was cooking pretty good. But,
Wow.
so yeah, they saved the day there and got it ventilated, and now we're just waiting for parts to get installed on the water heater from EDT. So yeah, it had to happen. It happened at the right time. If it should have been during the night, we'd have probably filled the building with smoke. I don't know.
Wow.
But the insulation is made so it just charred. It just smoldered. It didn't start on fire because it's fireproof. Maybe, I don't know if there's any other update on that, Dan, but
Well, the parts are supposed, the other parts are supposed to be installed today or tomorrow.
We got a question for Jeff Klein.
Yes.
Opening date for East Economy Lot. Are we gonna be able to have it functional by Thanksgiving traffic?
Well, that's the goal. I mean, obviously, it's all dependent upon, Flash's installation. So I'll try to nail down a date and let you know.
worst case scenario, the cars can park in there,
Correct, yeah.
and then we'll do the revenue control as it gets online. So
That was the point of having the concrete or the asphalt done in October so that we were gonna be ready in November. And then when we extended into November for the asphalt, I knew this was gonna back it up. So I still want that thing open by Thanksgiving traffic. So
Okay.
that was the whole point. Lean on it, get it done. Please.
Anything else for the good of the order? Nothing? Meeting adjourned.